I want to start with the Cooper family. Mo Cooper, our baseball coach's wife, starts treatment today. I just want to make sure she and the Cooper family know that she's not doing this alone. We got her back. And then a shout out to football and James Franklin. They've been so exciting and fun to watch. Continued success for them. For us, experienced team coming back, first time in my tenure. And what a powerful statement Lamar Stevens made by coming back, he and his family, to make that decision, and how much they value an education to get his degree. And his belief in the guys in that locker room, and his belief in the staff and everybody here at Penn State. He's joined by Mike Watkins, who had a great summer. He looks healthier than he ever has. His knee looks better. He's in better shape. His second jump is back. So I'm excited for what those two in the front court could do for us nationally. Really is nationally. Still Mike is day to day. Also joining those guys is John Hara, who's played a lot of minutes, and Jamari Wheeler a lot of minutes, and I see Trent Buttrick's minutes increasing. And then we've added some much-needed firepower with Curtis Jones and Isaiah Brockington. So we definitely have some depth to go along with some sophomores that played critical minutes for us last year. In Miles Dredd, who was 1-3 away from the record, right? Freshman record at Penn State. In MJ, who we all know can really score the basketball and had 18 against Virginia Tech. And Kyle McCluskey, who played critical minutes for us in a bunch of games. Joining them, too, is Seth Lundy and Patrick Kelly. Seth Lundy is every bit of 6'7". He's probably 218, 219 now. He is a big boy for a freshman. And Patrick Kelly is 6'9", and he really can shoot the basketball. I've said this to a few of you guys that have interviewed me in the off-season here. I think we have more, I believe, we have more answers than questions. We got some depth at the guard. We got some depth up front. Right now we could play 10 or 11 guys. That's today. I still haven't landed on a starting lineup, which normally it's pretty clear who the starting lineup for me in my tenure. And now there's some great battles at the point guard spot, at the wing spot, even at the center spot. The schedule that we have, another difficult schedule, presents or creates a lot of opportunities for us to get better. Again, I know Mark loves this, to be the best team we could be by the end of the year. So we look forward to the challenges that are ahead for us. And you know what, I'd be remiss to say, and I haven't said this, and I want to say this, I can't thank Penn State and the donors out there who invested in us. We're going to have a new locker room, a new training room, and a new weight room coming up here in April 2020. And their generosity, I can't, again, we really appreciate what they're doing for us and their belief in us. So with that said, I'll open it up to you guys.
Where is Mike Watkins player-wise compared to where he was a couple of years ago when he was an All-Big Ten defensive type player, and how important is his production to where you guys want to get?
It's a good question, Mark. He is almost to the level he was a couple years ago before the injury. Like I said, his second jump is back, and it's great to see. The skill development that he was able to receive over the summer and past summers, right? He's gotten better. He's playing at a very high level. But with Mike, it's day to day on how he takes care of things off the court. Because right now his attitude's been very good on the court. He's working on being a great teammate. As long as he continues on that path, I think we have an all-defensive player. And then I think we may, he's got to be one of the best bigs in the Big Ten, when healthy. So I think we have a kid who could be an all-Big Ten caliber type player this year for us.
What are your expectations for Seth Lundy this season as a true freshman, and what kind of role do you think he can take?
I think Seth Lundy is in an awesome position. In years past, we would have to start Seth. And now Seth, we can bring along slowly and be patient with him as he follows guys like Lamar Stevens. What an excellent leader he's become. And Jamari Wheeler and John Hara. I'll throw in Curtis Jones because of the experiences that he was able to had at Indiana and Oklahoma State, to learn from those guys can only help Seth Lundy. And now Seth can play the guard spot, Seth can play small forward spot. So that is a luxury for us to have. We're going to be patient with him, but really playing good basketball.
Yes, thank you. Jamari seemed to kind of unlock another level the last 5 or 6 games last year. Where is he offensively, not from a ball handling standpoint, but just from finding the basket, kind of understanding what his scoring can be and what he's best at?
Ben, you're dead on. I thought he was the difference in February and March. I think pace of play and tempo was dictated by him. I thought he was more confident attacking the basket and shooting at a very good clip from a few feet, but still, nonetheless, making those opportunities count. And I thought his leadership was great. And he's setting the table right now. We had a mini scrimmage on Saturday, and he only had 1 turnover in 20 minutes. That's good basketball. That's good basketball. He's getting everybody around him better, but also taking advantage of when it's his turn. So there's a fine line between that, and he's doing a really good job.
Hi, Pat.
How you doing, Nate?
I'm great. How are you?
Awesome.
He's on the wrong side of the room.
I'm totally messed up. You know,
Me-
you've taken his spot.
me-
That's all right.
it's okay.
We'll fix it.
It's obviously tough to put your finger on something like this, but for a game of confidence and momentum, where do you feel like these guys are at now to start this season as opposed to the end of last year or the middle of last year?
I would say end of last year, I think we were one of the hottest teams in the Big Ten, if not the country. And I hope to take that momentum and bring it in. We brought it to the summer for sure, and we need to bring it in to non-conference play. I really believe by Lamar coming back, there was just even more belief and even more confidence that we can do something special. And with Lamar and Jamari and John, the way they led by showing up every single day in February and March when most teams might have mailed it in, they didn't. So there is a very amazing connection in the locker room and a strong belief in one another.
If I'm reading this graphic right, it's just 9 losses for 2 baskets, which to fix that doesn't seem like you have to reinvent the wheel necessarily. When you self-scout, where does that all shake out? And how do you go about improving something where you're that close, so maybe you don't have to improve anything, you just have to do it better? I mean, how do you kind of get over that 2-basket hump?
Yeah. One is experience. Unfortunately, we're on the other end of that experience, but I think we learn from that. We grow from that, specifically with the guys that we had last year, but also adding in a Brockington, adding in a Curtis Jones. That should really help us. Basketball-wise, I think we just need to be a little bit more disciplined. One less turnover here, one good block out there, and we need to become a better free throw shooting team. I think Lamar took good shots. We made good plays. I always go back to Wisconsin where we were going back and forth and we just couldn't get the ball in the basket to upset Wisconsin at Cole. When we did go to the free throw line, we have to maximize those opportunities. So we have to shoot better from the free throw line.
Pat, you talked a lot about Isaiah last year in terms of his athleticism. What can he bring this year? What role can he fulfill? And how did you see him benefit from taking the year off last year because of NCAA rules?
I think, let me start with the second question, if that's okay. I think his jump shot's it's really improved, Right now, he's one of the guys that's shooting at a very high clip in practice from 3, which is really encouraging. That shows that he put the work in during his time, not time off, but time not playing in games. I think he can be, and I don't want to compare because comparison's the thief of joy, but the next guy that becomes that defensive stopper for us. He's probably more offensive minded than Josh Reeves. And he's got an incredible body and probably jumps a little bit higher. But you know what Josh Reeves meant to this program. You know what he's done for us. I think Isaiah could be that type of player for us, defensive stopper, but also can get you, 12 or 14 points on any given night.
Miles's role on
Tyler,
offense.
what's up, man? How you doing?
Good, how are you?
Good.
Miles' role in offense last year seemed to evolve as the season got along, becoming more than just a catch and shoot 3-point guy. How do you see that continuing to grow this season on the offense?
Yeah, we don't look. Miles is our best 3-point shooter, hands down, right now. Even in practice, he's doing some great things, and we all know our team knows the scout, and he's still able to shoot at a high level, which is pretty remarkable. But we do want him to get downhill. We do want him to use some ball screens and make decisions. He's a kid who's been well coached. He has a very high IQ, so we have to tap into, scoring at all 3 levels or making plays at all 3 levels, not just being a specialist.
Last year, we saw a lot of Lamar Stevens as obviously the go-to option, even late in games. Do you see anyone developing as a good secondary option this year, or tertiary options that maybe you can, go to if Lamar's tired down the stretch?
Yeah, I would say Miles Dredd. I would go to Miles. I'd go to Mike. Again, it depends on where Mike is with his free throw shooting. I think Brockington. I think Curtis Jones. I think Myrion Jones can fill that role, specifically especially when Lamar gets double teamed. And Lamar has right now he has amazing confidence in his teammates because he has a positive assist to turnover in practice right now. So he's sharing the basketball. He's still leading us in shot attempts, but he's sharing the ball a lot more.
Coach, with the Big Ten being so strong, there's always outside expectation to where the team will fall. But kind of what's the internal expectation versus kind of what's being said outside the program in your eyes?
I don't really know what's being said outside the program. I saw some different things in the summer. I've seen some different things lately. The expectations are get better every single day, be the best team we can be. This is the most experienced team we've ever had. I think we can do something really special. But I don't want, everybody wants to talk about NCAA tournament. Everybody wants to talk about, postseason play. And I think sometimes that can become overwhelming. I talked about moments, and I continue to talk about moments. Right now, the moment is we need to go to practice after this and get better. And we need to improve. We need to be more disciplined. We need to be able to depend on one another out there on the court. If we do that, and Ben gave us the stat, 9 games. If we can flip those 9 games like we did the season, we won 26 games and cut down some nets, well, the sky's the limit for this team.
What is Lamar shooting from the 3-point line in practice so far?
Solid.
Do you have you know better than
Solid.
You have better numbers than
Consistent.
You're not going to.
Nobody works harder, and this is what's awesome. And you always hear those cliches, right? Every coach, when your hardest worker is your best player is your hardest worker on the team, you got a chance. Well, guess what? Our best player is the hardest worker on this team. But here's the good thing: not by much. When he announced he was coming back, I see a lot of sacrifice. I see a lot of guys in the gym unsolicited beyond what I'm asking them to do.
What were some of the things he did to improve his 3-point shot, I guess? If you're not going to.
Yeah, just, prep work. It's all about his prep work. It's all about his feet. It's all about his shot readiness. And I think he did a good job of that. His corner 3 is at a high clip right now. His top of the key 3 is at a high clip right now. Maybe we just focus on those areas where the wings aren't as much. But in this league, with the line being moved back, they're probably the better shots anyway in the corners.
Coach, what does Curtis Jones do for this offense, and can you assess his confidence level heading into the season?
Well, you're talking about a guy who had 23 at Kansas. So I think, was it at Kansas or at home? I thought it was 23. Close enough. Very confident young man. Brings a level of scoring off the bench, right now off the bench, if that's what we so desire. Brings a toughness. He brings a mentality that he can defend. He wants to rebound. He got a great burst, first step burst. Really athletic. I couldn't believe, really deceptive. And then he goes and dunks on somebody. You're like, wow, I didn't know he had that in his arsenal, and he does. So it gives you an older guy, whether he starts or comes off the bench. Now you got a senior who's been in 2 Power 5 conference league who can really help, especially the sophomores and the freshmen.
Hey, Pat. So last year you had a lot of production coming in from your freshmen, like Miles Dredd, and now they have an entire season under their belts, and now coming into their sophomore campaign, where do you think their ceiling is, and how much more do you think they have to grow?
Yeah, I think because of those experiences last year, they're only going to get better. I think we have a lot of guys out there that can make baskets, make shots. There's going to be space out there, And I think that's going to help Miles Dredd, and I think that's going to help MJ. MJ can really score the basketball. So as long as there's a Lamar out there, a Curtis out there, and multiple guys that can put in the basketball, we're going to be very difficult to defend. And that should help the sophomores, because now there'll be a little bit more space out there where they can get some in-rhythm shots or catch and shoot.
Pat, I think a decision that kind of surprised a lot of people outside the program, at least, is Rajir choosing to transfer. And I'm curious to know, is that something that you guys expected, and how do you think you're going to fulfill that instant offense role that he kind of had down the stretch?
So I'll start with the second part. Second part is I think MJ really steps up. I think Curtis and Isaiah Brockington with the firepower, and they've already played Division I basketball at St. Bonnie's and now at 2 Power 5 conferences. I think collectively, we share that responsibility. Unfortunately, I really can't talk about anybody who left the program, but I think with what we have now, the added firepower, I think we're in a good position to fill those statistics.
Lamar's been really good passing out of the double teams. How much do you work in practice under the assumption that he's going to be double teamed, X percentage of possessions a game?
Day one. We started day one. Every time we're 5-on-5, there's a double team thrown at Lamar Stevens if he's in the post, the mid post, or even on the perimeter, to help him with his internal clock, 2 to 3 seconds of making a decision and making a solid decision.
Excuse me, coffee day.
You sick?
I'm not, which is the weird thing. Word is you guys are going to run it back with West Virginia in a scrimmage situation. I don't know how much you can or can't talk about that. Regardless, if you were to go kind of have these experiences before the season starts, what are you trying to get out of those, be it home or away?
I think those sample sizes tell you a lot of where you are and what you need to do. For me, it's choosing a starting 5, and then it's a rotation after that starting 5. Did we learn from last year? What areas do we need to improve in those type of secret scrimmages? Even the, can I mention the exhibition game? I can, right? That's out. Exhibition game, which is a charity event, so I hope you guys can tweet that out or put that out there about Delaware on the 27th. So that's a big game for us as well, to see who we can be, what our identity could be, and did we grow from last year? Did we take those shared experiences and are we going to transfer them over in those two games?
Pat, you mentioned wanting to get Trent more involved, not just today, but even last season, wanting to get him more minutes. I think that Alabama game serves as a good blueprint of what he could
In 13.
Could do for this offense. How have you seen his confidence grow this offseason, and just what is he doing on the court that you think he could be a contributor on offense this year?
So, unlike John lost weight. John's about 238 now. He looks terrific. I look forward to you guys seeing him. He looks really playing good basketball. But Trent put on weight because I asked Trent, I'm going to play you, obviously, at the small forward, but I'm also going to play you at the shooting 5 spot. So you need to be prepared, foul trouble, injury, whatever, to play some 5. And he went out and put on the weight. And he's shooting at a very high clip right now. As you said, at Alabama, he played really well. I need to allow Trent to play. And I need to allow Trent to play through mistakes. I want to use a great player from last year. I don't know why he can't be our great effort from Purdue. Guy that's just really, really solid, make good decisions, rebounds the basketball, blocks shots, takes charges, moves the ball when you're open, knock down threes. That's a great role. That's a great role, and one that Trent is accepting right now.
Pat,
Sorry, you go.
Pat, going back to Curtis Jones, what was that process like? I mean, talking to him before he transferred, and was there anything, I guess, off the court that struck you about him?
Well, first we have the graduate program that he wanted. That's number one. Number two, we recruited him the first time around, and we didn't get him. So there was already a relationship there, and I knew we needed an experienced guard. I thought we were youthful in the guard spot last year with freshmen and sophomores. Now with the addition of Curtis, now we become older at a lot of different spots, which is probably why I'm excited about getting this season started, because we have so many different guys that can play so many different positions, so many different styles of play that will help us.
Coach, you kind of mentioned John and trying to get him maybe on the floor more. when you're building that starting five and then going through your rotation, how do you try to plan that out with how many minutes he was able to play in Mike Watkins' absence? And do you think that we're going to see a lot of them on the floor this year with Stevens able to play the three and, as you mentioned, Trent able to play the three?
You said John, right?
John.
You know, each game was a little bit different last year. I wish I could have found a five that just really worked well together. I thought John was really solid in everything he did, especially on the defensive end. He's like the mother hen out there. He cleans up everybody's mistakes when we're taking chances. We did have a lot of steals, but when we didn't have the steals, John had to clean it up. I just look forward to those guys really dominating for us this year in the paint and protecting the rim. I think Mike is showing that, specifically over the summer. And I think John has improved by losing the weight. Skill set looks great. He's moving better than he ever has. But now you add a guy like Trent Buttrick to that. That changes our team. Now you have 5 guys on the floor that are going to be able to make a three. How do you guard that? And have I allowed, I'll let you guys know in a little secret, I've allowed John and Mike to shoot top of the key threes. Time and score now, time and score. But they've worked on it all year long, and they're shooting at a very, very good clip. I'm going to say great clip, not say elite clip, but well enough for me to say, yeah, that's a good shot.
Pat, if you look, I was reading up on Pat Kelly, and he's somebody that kind of has some interesting experiences, I think, playing for 3 high schools. His father was a terrific athlete and started
New York Jets, tight
foundation.
end.
And started a foundation before he unfortunately passed away. So I'm just kind of curious, what kind of personality has Pat brought to the program so far?
So Pat's a little bit older. You know, he had a year at IMG, really developed his ball handling and just improved his shooting. And he's much more athletic than I thought. I mean, at 6'9", he can go up with the best of them and dunk the basketball. And now he's just finding his way. He's got to put on some weight because we are big and we are strong. We're big and strong up front. So he's battling against Lamar. He's battling against Trent. And in a switch situation, he's battling against Mike and John. So with some work with Greg, our strength coach, who does a phenomenal job with our guys, I look for Patrick to have a great career for us.
Pat, how is this team better equipped to handle a tough 2-3 game stretch to the point where it doesn't spiral and you guys aren't 0-8, 0-9 in conference play?
Yeah, the mental conditioning, I talked about it all last year. I think we're smart enough now not to look too far ahead and not to worry about what's behind us. What's behind us is behind us. Can't worry about that. We're going to stay in the moment. We're just going to get better. We're going to try to win as many possessions as we can, and we're going to be more disciplined. If we have that approach, those slides will not and should not happen.
You mentioned last week in Chicago the Mamba mentality you want Lamar to have this season. Where did you kind of come up with that, and why is that something that you want Lamar to take on this season?
You know, I watch a lot of videos and I listen to a ton of podcasts. I'm always looking to get better. I need to improve. We all do as leaders and coaches. And whatever I see or whatever I hear or whatever I read, I share with Lamar Stevens. And I think Lamar is an elite player, obviously our first team, all Big Ten player. But I want more. And what more is that? And it's so small, the more that I want. It's probably just like this. And if he goes with that Kobe Bryant Mamba mentality, I think he gets there individually, but then he brings everybody with him. He brings Mike with him, and Jamari with him, and Kurt, and MJ, and Miles. And that way now you got everybody with the Mamba mentality. That's a tough team to beat.
Obviously, this is looking ahead a little bit.
I
But
just talked about moments.
I know. But you're going to have a couple of moments at the beginning of December for Big Ten play. And I'm curious, now that the Big Ten's done this for a few years, what your take is on those December Big Ten.
You mean the games?
A couple of games.
In December.
Yeah.
I always think it's a good litmus test to know where you're going to be. I'm glad you brought up scheduling because we play Georgetown and D.C. for our Penn Staters out there. Our D.C. chapter's awesome. Every time I go on the caravan, the D.C. chapter's great. Come out and support us at Georgetown. And then we're going to be in New York at the Barclays, and we'll have a tough competition there. And then obviously the Big Ten games. And again, that stretch there that's why we were top 5 in strength of schedule last year in Ken Palm, and we're always hovering around the top, and that's why we were number 1 in strength of schedule in the Big Ten. We really had a difficult schedule, and this year's no different. We start at Ohio State, and then we have Maryland here, probably 2 top 25 teams. And guess what? We're pretty good too. We're pretty good too. So great litmus test. It's going to let us know. Great opportunities. We'll get better from those and really get prepared for January 4th at the Palestra in Philadelphia versus Iowa.
Anyone with one last question for Coach?
Good to see you guys.
Hey, Coach, how you doing?
I'm awesome. How are you?
Doing all right. Just a quick question for you. You mentioned the Mamba mentality that you hope Lamar and some of your other leaders can bring this season. Do you think that's something that just day after day you expect your team to bring, or is that something that when there's lulls in the season you just want them to keep playing at a high level with that mentality?
No. It's got to be consistent. Mamba didn't show up once in a while. He showed up every single day. I mean, he was talking about the struggle in practice. If you're not struggling in practice, then you're not getting better. You're not preparing yourself for games. So it's every single day being consistent with your effort, with your energy, with your leadership, and taking those moments and compounding them. If we continue to do that compound interest, man, we're going to be a really good team. Thank you.